Welcome. In this playthrough of Marvel Champions, a card game, I go into my first playthrough, the Sinister Motives, in Scenario 1 against the Sandman. So in downtown Manhattan, we see Spider-Man and Ghost Spider swinging through the city. And Morales gets a message. Morales, there's an issue around 66 in first. We need you there immediately. Hey, Fury, was just thinking about you. How was your trip? Did you see dolphins? Miles, take care of it. Okay, fine. We're on our way. And then they make their way to the Upper East Side. Go in from the left. I'll come in from behind. Got it. Whoosh, splat, and this is where we begin. So almost as if you were prepared for a fight, Sandman unleashes a deluge of dust upon you, sandblasting the surrounding buildings and filling large portions of the streets with tidal sands. Though people in the area try their hardest to escape, the surging sands become too much as the battle rages on. There are civilians in desperate need of rescue. So we're doing the standard campaign here, so Sandman 1 and 2. Main scheme is going to be our hapless pedestrians. Let's see, in counter deck, we're going to have the Sandman cards, City in Chaos, Down to Earth, and their standing counter sets. Of course, the Down to Earth modular set can be removed and changed out, but we're going straight from the scenario here. For setup, we're going to put the public outcry environment in play. We've got that up here. Shuffle the smear campaign, treachery into the encounter deck. We'll get that shuffled in here in a bit. Then choose one, campaign community surface, gives you the number of them there. We've got those off to the side. Shuffle that side scheme into the encounter deck. So that's the basics of how we're getting started here. So I'm using the pre-con decks for both Spider-Man and Ghost Spider. For our main scheme, we're going to search the encounter deck for the city streets environment and put it into play. Place 4 sand counters on it. So the city streets, surging stands, special, place a sand counter here. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck equal to the number of sand counters here. So we're going to fly through the encounter deck. So hero action, we can exhaust a character we control, remove sand counters from here equal to that character's attack limit once per round per player. Then the Sandman, first version, Schema 1, attack of 2, it's got a sand blast as a forced interrupt. When Sandman attacks you, that attack deals indirect damage. If your identity takes any amount of damage from that attack, resolve the Surging Sands ability in city streets, 16 health per player. And indirect damage can be assigned among characters you control however you see fit. Just can't assign more damage to a character than they have life left. And 0 is a valid number for handing out that damage. So public outcry, there's 2 sides to this. We're playing standard mode. There's an expert on the other side. Victory 1 comes in with 2 per player notoriety counters. Response, after a minion or side schemes defeated, remove a notoriety counter from here. And that's going to advance our scheme just a little bit faster than we wanted to. Then smear campaign will be shuffled into the main deck. And then we're going to go looking for or choose a community service card at random and shuffle that in also. And of course, the flip side of this, the hapless pedestrians, threshold of 9 per player, force response after an acceleration token is placed on the scheme, deal 3 indirect damage to the first player. So a quick look at our heroes. Miles Morales, I have him set up with Justice. Comes in with a recovery of 4 and alter ego as a civilian. As a response, after you change to this form, shuffle a Spider-Man card from your discard pile into your deck. Hand size is 6 and 9 health. Hero form, he's got 2 for thwart, attack, and defense. Venom Blast is a special, deal 2 damage to an enemy, stun that enemy, and Spider Camouflage, a special, gives Spider-Man a tough status card, confuse an enemy, hand size of 5, and he's a champion web warrior. And over here, Gwen Stacy is paired with protection. Recovery of 3, alter ego, civilian. It's an action. Choose to either shuffle ticket to the multiverse from your discard pile into your deck, or ready George Stacy. Limit once per round, hand size of 6, 10 health. Hero form, 4-1, attack of 2, defense of 3. Dizzying reflexes as a response after you resolve an interrupt or responsibility on an event. Ready Ghost Spider, limit once per phase, hand size of 5 on this side. All right, so shuffling our encounter deck, and you can look down here. I am making 1 change to each of the decks. So we've got our encounter deck shuffled. Forgot, since we've got Ghost Spider over here, that card's not going to do us any good except for as a resource. So I'm going to replace that with Quake, another Avenger Shield. And then over on this side, Spider-Man Miles Morales is a card we can't use, so we're going to bring in Clea. So we'll go ahead and get 6 cards for each of these. So Clea starting out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. What doesn't kill me? Web bracelet, strength. Those are 2 keepers, I believe. Jump flip, return the favor, and web of life and destiny. So ignore this card's cost if we have the web warrior trait. So I think I'll keep that since it's free. So we'll pitch those 3, and we'll keep a web binding, cross the Spider-Verse, and Clea. And over on this side, Miles will get 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, Spider-Woman, Global Logistics, Government Liaison, Logistics, Genius, and Quake. We'll pitch those 3. 1, 2, 3. Web Shooter, Field Agent, and Arachnobatics. All right, first thing we're going to do is bring in Quake. Schema 1, attack for 2, 2 health. Dominion Schemes, exhaust Quake, deal 2 damage to Minion. We're going to bring her in and exhaust to remove 2 tokens from the city streets. Then we'll bring in Spider-Woman, 4-1, attack of 2, 3 health. Reduce the cost to play her by 1 for each confused enemy in play. None of those, so spending 3, she's going to come in and thwart for 1. And we'll flip Miles over, and he will thwart for 2. Then Gwen Stacy, going to bring in a web bracelet. Hero response after you resolve and interrupt a responsibility on an event. Exhaust this to draw a card, max 1 per event. Then we'll go ahead and flip to our hero side and attack for 2. Actually, we'll exhaust to get rid of 2 more. Then we'll bring in Clea, 4-1, attack 1, 2 health. When she's defeated, shuffle her into her owner's deck. And thwart for 1. Then we have a Web Warrior in play, so ignore this card's resource cost if your identity has a Web Warrior trait. As a response, after a Web Warrior ally leaves play, choose a player. That player draws a card. And that does not say that one we control. So we're going to end our turn, drawing 5 cards on each side. So we've got Lee, Dum Dum Dugan, Government Liaison, Agent 13, and a double life. Over here, Phantom Flip, Genius, What Doesn't Kill Me, Puree and Punch, and Ticket to the Multiverse. So we're going to start with 1, 2, 3 threat. Then attacking over here. We're just going to take it because it's all indirect damage. So 1, 2, 2 damage coming our way. And we're just going to put both that damage on Spider-Woman. Then attacking over here. We'll take it for base 2, 3 damage coming our way. We will take 2 ourselves, down to 8, put 1 on Clea, which will shuffle her back in. And then since our identity took damage, place a sand counter on the city streets. Discard cards from the top encounter deck equal to the number of sand counters here. So it gets 1, and we're getting rid of a common criminal. All right, counter cards. Friends and family. So an obligation, while in hero form, increase the resource cost of each event you play by 1. It's an alter ego action. Discard 1 identity specific card from your hand to discard this obligation. And then here, cut off guard, discard an upgrade or support you control. If no cards were discarded this way, this card gains Surge. I think we're going to do an interrupt on that. So when a card is revealed from the encounter deck, deal damage to the villain equal to 1 more than the number of boost icons on the card, and cancel that card's when revealed effect. So we're going to do 2 damage to Sandman and ignore that. So down to 30. And then pass first player. All right. We're going to attack for 2. Down to 28. Then as a hero response, after Ghost Spider uses a basic power, remove 5 threat from a scheme. Or 3. And that's going to ready us, and we get to draw a card into plan B. We'll go ahead and bring this into play, spinning that. Play under any player's control, max 1 per player. Hero action, exhaust plan B, and discard a random card from your hand. Deal 2 damage to an enemy. And we'll go ahead and put that in for us. Then attack for 2 more. Down to 26. Then over here, we're going to bring in a government liaison as a hero action. Exhaust it. Play a shield card from your hand, reducing its resource cost by 1. Then we're going to attack for 2. Down to 24. Exhaust to get rid of that. Go ahead and attack for 2. Down to 22. Flip over. Whenever we do that, shuffle a Spider-Man card from your discard pile into your deck. We're going to go with a web shooter. Then as an alter ego action, discard an identity-specific card from your hand to discard the obligation. And end your turn. All right, we're going to keep Dugan here. And Spider-Man, Homeland Intervention, a Field Agent, Sky Destroyer, and Defense Mechanism. And over here, Web Binding, What Doesn't Kill Me, a Ghost Kick, Jump Flip, and Clea. So 3 threat. Attacking over here, we're going to defend. So base 2, 4 damage coming our way. We defended 3, so 1 damage would be coming through. We're going to jump flip. When you would take any amount of damage, prevent 2 of that damage. If you paid for this card using an energy resource, which we're not, we would remove 2 threat from the main scheme. But we're not taking any damage. So interrupt. We're going to ready and then draw a card. And then scheme here for base 1, 2. Counter cards. Rhino, scheme of 0, attack of 3, 8 health. Steady, so we need 2 status cards for him to be stunned or confused. And his attacks gain overkill and piercing. And Shadow of the Past, nasty. So we're finding our set-aside nemesis and other things for Miles. So that's going to be the Prowler. Scheme of 1, attack of 2, stalwart, 5 health. When revealed, if you're in alter ego form, give Prowler a tough status. Then tracking prey. When revealed, if you're an alter ego, place an acceleration token here. And this brings up my first rules question with the new game. So this says, so normally when you get acceleration tokens, you put them next to the main scheme. This one specifically says, when revealed, if you are in alter ego form, place the token here. So assume it goes directly on this side scheme, not on or next to the main scheme. And with that assumption, I'm assuming if this gets defeated, the acceleration token goes away. So if you know of an FAQ out there showing how to handle that, let me know. So that's coming in with 4 threat on it. And an acceleration token on it. Then these 3 cards will get shuffled in over here. Then we'll pass first player. All right, for Miles' turn, we're going to exhaust this to play a shield card and reduce its cost by 1 to bring in Dum Dum Dugan. So got 3 for thwarting and attacking, health of 5. When he uses one of his basic powers, we can exhaust up to 3 shield cards you control for each card exhausted this way. He gets +1 to that power for this use. We'll go ahead and flip over here. We will attack to get rid of tough. So Web Warrior is leaving play. So a response after a Web Warrior ally leaves play, choose a player. That player draws a card. We're going to choose ourselves to get Silk. Then attack for 3 and attack for 2. To defeat a minion, which will get rid of this. All right, we're going to attack for 2. Then what doesn't kill me? Requirement, physical resource, hero action, heal 2 damage from a hero, and ready your hero. And then we're going to attack for 2 more. Then plan B, exhaust plan B, discard a random card from your hand and deal 2 damage to an enemy. So I'm just going to low and high, so 1 to 3, 4 to 6. That gets discarded. And end your turn. I'm going to keep Clea. So I've got Return the Favor, Jump Flip, Bait and Switch, and another Bait and Switch. Over on this side, keeping Spider-Man with a Web Shot, Surveillance Team, another Surveillance Team, and Government Liaison. So we're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 threat. Getting attacked over here, just going to take it to base 2, 3, 4 damage. We'll go ahead and take it all, so down to 5, which will trigger that. And losing a Sand Clone. Then attacking over here, we will defend, so base 2 damage coming our way. And we'll take nothing. And he's attacking for 3. We're going to do a jump flip, hero interrupt. When you would take any amount of damage, prevent 2 of that damage, so we're going to end up taking 1. Then if we paid for this using a energy resource, remove 2 threat from a main scheme. So we're taking 1 damage, removing 2 threat. Then we're going to ready and use this to draw a card. Then encounter cards. Get a dirt trap. When defeated, see, resolve the Surging Sands ability on city streets, then resolve it again, comes in with 1 threat. And Sandform. Attach a Sandman, force interrupt. When you would deal any amount of damage to Sandman, discard Sandform instead, and resolve the Surging Sands ability on city streets. And pass first player. All right, Ghost Spider is going to attack for 2. We're going to bring Clea in, and she's going to thwart for 1. Taking out a side scheme, remove another token. And resolve the Sands ability, then do it again. So first time, lose 2 cards. Second time, lose 3 cards. Then plan B, discard a random card. We only have 1 to deal 2 damage to take out Rhino, which will move a token. And on this side, we're going to exhaust him to remove 3 tokens. Then we're going to bring in Surveillance Team. Gets 3 counters on it as an action. Exhaust it to remove a Snoop counter from it to remove a threat from a scheme. Then we'll make help pay for our next shield item here to bring in another Surveillance Team. Then use those to remove 2 threats along with Spider-Man to take care of this. Like I said, I'm assuming that since this got attached to the side scheme, it's gone away with it. And along with that, we took out a side scheme, This goes away, so we get a victory point from public outcry. And that's going to be your turn. One, two, three, four, five. So Web Bracelet, Bait and Switch, George Stacy, Phantom Flip, and Spider-Man. And over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Energy, Web Shooter, Global Logistics, Power Within, and Homeland Intervention. We'll get 2 threat, 10 out of 18. Tacking over here. We're just going to take it. So base 2, 4 damage coming our way. We'll put 1 here and take 3 down to 4. She'll get shuffled in. Then attacking over here, base 2 damage coming our way. We'll put that on Mr. Dugan. No damage, oh yes. Before that attack comes, sorry. We put a counter out there and then we're discarding that card. Now we've got a base 2 coming in with a different card, still a 0. So we put that all on Dugan, nothing there, so that's not going to trigger. And counter cards, Sand Clone, Schema 1. Let's see. Attack is equal to the number of sand counters on city streets. 3 health. When defeated, resolve the Surging Sands ability on city streets. Then over here, Slice and Dice. Real Prowler attacks the player with the fewest remaining hit points. If that attack defeats a character or no attack was made this way, this card gains Surge. So that surges into Now or Never. Place an acceleration token on the main scheme, which we're going to pass on. Exhaust a character you control and spend a resource of any type. So we are going to exhaust him and discard that and pass first player. All right, 2 surveillance teams to remove 2 threat. Then we'll bring in a web shooter, gets 3 web counters on it. Here a resource, exhaust it to remove a web counter from it to generate a wild resource. Then we'll go ahead and use that to bring the power within. After your hero uses a basic power, discard this to resolve its Venom Blast ability. So we are going to thwart for 2. And then Venom Blast. Deal 2 damage to an enemy and stun that enemy. Well, dealing 2 damage there. And that's going to trigger doing that. And then we're going to stun him. Then we're going to flip over and put one of our Spider-Man cards back in our deck. We'll go with the defense mechanism. All right, we are going to attack here for 2. Then do a Phantom Flip. After we use a basic power, move 5 threat from a scheme. That's going to ready and draw a card into Clea. Then we're going to bring Clea into play and thwart for 1. And flip over and heal for 3. Let's see, as an action, we're going to shuffle Ticket to the Multiverse from our discard pile into our deck. Maybe. If I've pitched it already. Yep, we have. And end your turn. All right, we're going to keep energy over here. Defense mechanism, a web shooter, Jefferson Davis, swing in, and a web shot. And over here, plan B, Got our punch, ghost kick, a flip, energy, and our ticket. So 2 threat. Scheming for base 1, just 1, nice. Scheming over here for base 1, 2, 3. +1 from the clone. And counter cards. Panic in the Streets. Treat the printed text box of each location support and each persona support as if it were blank except for their traits. And 5 threat. And a dirt trap again. With 1 threat. And pass first player. All right. Clea's going to thwart for 1. Takes out the dirt trap, so we're doing the sands twice. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. And shuffle her back in. We're going to go ahead and flip over and attack for 2, down to 20. Then do a phantom flip. After we use the basic power, remove 5 threat from a scheme, which will get rid of this. Just going to ready us and allow us to draw a card into Spider UK. Then we're going to attack for 2 to get rid of the clone. So resolve the Surging Sands ability. Add a 5th token. That's not going well. We only have 1 card to discard, so we stop there. But we do add an acceleration token to this scheme. So after an acceleration token is placed on the scheme, deal 3 indirect damage to the first player. So down to 4 health. And after Ghost Spider uses a basic power, deal 6 damage to an enemy. Down to 14. Then we're going for plan B. Shuffle our cards, and we're going to lose our punch card to deal 2 more damage. Down to 12. Then he's going to exhaust, remove 3 tokens. Then we're going to heal for 4, up to 9. Then we'll bring in Jefferson Davis. It's an alter ego action, exhaust team, remove a threat from the scheme with the least threat. So go ahead and do that. And then get rid of both of our surveillance teams for 2 more. Flip over, use a web shooter to bring in defense mechanism. After we use our basic power, use our Spider camouflage ability. Then we're going to swing in, remove 4 threat from a scheme if you paid for this using a mental resource, which we're not. So just 4 threat. And we're going to end our turn there. Let's see, we're going to keep Mr. UK. 1, 2, 3, 4. Parental Guidance, Young Love, Ghost Kick, and Clea. Yeah. This should have been shuffled. And put a card over there. And then this gets shuffled. Then 5 cards here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Monica Chang, Arachnobatics, Young Love, Web Shot, and Strength. All right, 3 threat. Goes to attack over here, loses stunned. Goes to attack over here. We're going to take it for 1, 2, 3 damage. Down to 6. Trigger that. Lose 3 cards. And counter cards. All right, friends and family, while in hero form, increase the resource cost of each event you play by 1. Alter ego action, discard an identity-specific card from your hand to discard this obligation. And then loose ends, searching counter deck, discard pile, set aside area, and remove from the game area for a copy of your obligation, then reveal it. During that reveal, if you change to alter ego form, discard a random card from your hand. And we haven't seen that yet. So, Worried Father. Give to Gwen Stacy, search your deck, hand, discard pile, and play area for George Stacy. Set him aside, attach that to him. It's an alter ego action. Exhaust it and remove this obligation from the game. Add George Stacy to your hand. So we need to go find George, who's hiding. Somewhere. Near the top of the deck, apparently. Yep, there he is. So this is a side somewhere. All right, that's a side. And over here, the villain schemes for base 1, 2, 3. And pass first player. Easy start. Going to remove 3 tokens. Going to help pay for Shield Agent, bringing in Monica Chang. Thwart a 1, attack a 1, 2 health. After she enters play, search your deck, hand, discard pile for a copy of the surveillance team support. Put it into play. Place a snoop counter on each surveillance team you control. And we just got rid of those, so this is coming in with 4 counters on it, thanks to her. And we'll go ahead and use one of them. All right, we're going to do a web shot. Deal 4 damage to an enemy if you paid for this card using a energy resource, which we'll use the wild for. Resolve his Venom Blast. So down to 8. Venom Blast is deal 2 damage to an enemy and stun it. So down to 6. Stunned. Then we will thwart for 2. After we use a basic power, do our Spider Camouflage. That's going to let us get a tough status and confuse an enemy. So tough, confused. Then we'll thwart for 1. Then we will use her to thwart for 1. And as a response, after we use her basic power, deal 6 damage to an enemy, which is going to ready us, and we can draw a card. 6 damage is going to go through this first version. So Schema 1, attack of 3. When revealed, resolve the Surging Sands ability, and still has a Sand Blast and 18 health per player. So 36. And Sandblast of 1. Then bring in Miss Popularity, Clea, thwarting for 1. Then flip over and recover for 3. Up to 7. And end her turn. One, 2, 3, 4. Field Agent, double life, intervention, and swing in. And then a counter card and shuffle. And we've got one more card coming. Global Logistics. And over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Ghost Kick, Genius, Return the Favor, a Flip, another Flip, and a Strength. All right, 3 threat. Goes to attack, lose stun. Goes to scheme, lose confused. And counter cards. In Expert Mode, Smear Campaign, this card gains Surge. We're playing in Standard. When revealed, if Public Outcry is in play, place 2 notoriety counters on it, then remove this card from the game. Public Outcry is not in play, place 2 threat on the main scheme. And then Sandslide, place 2 sand counters on the city streets, then resolve its ability. If at least 1 Sandman card was discarded this way, you are stunned. So we're going to get 2, then do the ability, which brings out another, so 4. 1, 2, 3, nice, and 4. Well, we got rid of Shadows of the Past, but there is a Sandman card there. So we get stunned. And then on this side, Sand Clone, Schema 1, currently 4 attack and 3 health. Pass first player. We're going to discard a identity-specific card from our hand to take care of the friends and family. Then we're going to heal for 3, up to 10. Flip over. A whole lot of nothing in her hand. So we've got 2 big resources, 2 things when we're defending, and Return the Favor. Discard cards from top of the counter deck until you discard a Treachery, reveal that Treachery, and deal 5 damage to the villain. I guess we'll do it. So looking for a Treachery, found one. The villain's going to scheme for base 1, just 1. Well, that was worth it. Then take 5 damage, down to 31. Then we'll go plan B. Shuffling our cards. And we're going to lose a jump flip to deal 2 damage. Then we'll attack for 1 to get rid of him. Clea. Get shuffled back in. See how many more times she can show up. Then we're going to resolve the Surging Sands ability. So get our 5th marker, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then use him to remove 3. And Monica will thwart for 1. And go away. Actually, before I do that, let's go ahead and attack to get rid of stunned. Bring in a field agent, gets 3 backup counters on it. Hero interrupt. When a shield ally would take any amount of damage, any amount of consequential damage, exhaust this, remove 1 backup counter to prevent 1 of that damage. Now we'll have her thwart for 1 and not take damage. We're going to play a double life, max 1 per round. As an action, change your form. If you paid for this using a physical resource, ready your identity. Currently in hero mode, we'll use that to make it physical. To flip over and ready, which is going to allow us to, we're going to put the web shooter back in. Then we're going to heal for 4, up to 10. Use Jefferson Davis to remove a threat. Go ahead and use that to remove a threat. That card does not use up our 1 free flip, so we're going to go ahead and flip back over. Actually, another take back. I'm learning this new set. We'll put that threat back on. Homeland Intervention's better. Exhaust up to 3 shield cards you control and choose a scheme. We're going to exhaust this shield and that shield. Remove 2 threat from that scheme for each card exhausted this way. So that gets rid of 4 threat. It's the better way to play. Then we're going to end her turn. We're going to keep swing in. Web Shooter, Intervention, Power Within, and Arachnobatics. Over here, yeah, we'll keep the jump flip. We'll keep everything and just draw 2. Web Binding, and Clea. All right, 3 threat. Attacking over here, defending. Base 3, 4 damage coming our way. We'll go ahead and take the 1 damage down to 9. Add to token and lose 3 cards. Then attack over here for base 3, 4. Lose tough. And counter cards. Exhaust a character you control and spend a resource of any type. We don't have any characters, so place an acceleration token on the main scheme, which is going to do 3 damage to our first player. Then tracking prey when revealed. If you are in alter ego form, we are not. Place an acceleration token there. That comes in with 4 threat. And pass first player. Mr. Dugan keeps that in check. Bring in a Web Shooter. We're going to use the Web Shooter, making a mental resource. Remove 4 threat from a scheme. If you paid for this card using a mental, do our spider camo. So we'll go ahead and get rid of this. And then our camo is we get a tough status and confuse an enemy. Then we'll attack for 1 and not take damage. Down to 30. Attack for 2. Down to 28. And exhaust 3 shield cards. So it could remove 6 threat from a scheme, but we just have those. And end her turn. Well, I guess we'll let Ghost Spider go. We'll bring in Clea and attack for 1. Down to 27. But instead of paying that, we're using strength to pay for it. And then end her turn. Keeping 3 cards once again. Cross the Spider-Verse, and what doesn't kill me. Then over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Genius, Double Life, Defense Mechanism, Energy, and Quake. So 4 threat. Attacking for base 3, 4, 5. Lose tough. Initiate attack over here. Web Binding. Spending the mentals. When an enemy would activate, cancel that activation. If it's a minion, deal 4 damage to it. So it just cancels his attack. We played an interrupt, so we can draw a card. And counter cards. Common Criminal with Surge, Scheme of 0, attack of 1, 3 health. It's an alter ego action, spend a physical resource, deal 3 damage to the Common Criminal. If it's defeated this way, choose to either draw a card or remove 3 threat from a side scheme. And surges into sand form. So whenever you would take damage, instead, resolve the surging sands. And over here, Tidal Sands. Place X additional threat here where X is equal to the number of sand counters in the city streets, which is 0. So just getting 2 threat. And pass first player. She will thwart for 1. Get shuffled back in. Attack for 2 to get rid of this. which will trigger that ability to get rid of Rhino. Then what doesn't kill me, heal 2 damage from your hero and ready your hero. So up to 8 and ready. Then we're going to flip over and exhaust to get rid of our worried father. And then use that to bring him into play. It's an action, exhaust him, attach an event from your hand face down here to a max of 3. Events attached to him may be played as if they were in our hand. Then over here, going to thwart for 1 and not take damage. Bring in a defense mechanism, so after we make a basic power, use our camouflage ability. Then attack for 2. Bring in Quake. Attack for 2. Dugan. Get rid of that. Surveillance team for 1 of those. And we'll end our turn. We'll keep energy. Hit Spider-Man, swing in, global logistics, and a liaison. And Phantom Flip, our ticket, Clea. What doesn't kill me, and our punch. So 4 threat. Scheming over here, loses confused. Attacking over here. It's going to be 3 damage coming in. And we'll just take it all down to 7. Gets a token and discards a card. Then encounter cards. Sandform is back. And the villain attacks us. And we're going to take it again for 3, 4. Going down to 3 health. Nope, because then we're going to take a bunch of damage. So put 2 over here. End up taking 2 down to 5. We ran out of cards, get an acceleration token. First player takes 3 damage, down to 5. And maybe I need to just go crazy on attacking here. All right, pass first player. All right, we're going to bring in Spider-Man, Peter Parker, thwart 2, attack for 2, 3 health. We need to pay 1 of each resource to bring him in. After your attacks or thwarts, choose another Web Warrior character and ready that character. So we're going to attack for 2 to trigger our sands, lose 2 cards, then thwart for 2, which readies him. Get rid of 2 tokens. Attack for 2, down to 25. Trigger this using Spider Camouflage to get tough and confused. Surveillance team. We're going to heal for 3, up to 8. Go ahead and flip over. Bring in Clea. Thwart for 1. What doesn't kill me? Requirements, using the wilds as physical, heal 2, and ready our hero. So up to 10. And ready, and attack for 2. Down to 23. And end our turn. Keep energy on this side. Got Lee, a web shot, our web shooter, and logistics. Flip, Spider-Man, punch, bait and switch, and a ghost kick. 5 threat. Attacking over here for base 3, 4 damage. We have 5 health, so we're fine putting all that on tough. All right, attacking over here, we will defend. So 3, 6 damage, goodness. So we block 3, we'll put 1 on Clea. So we're taking 2 down to 8, which will trigger that. And in counter cards, got a sand clone out, and the villain's going to scheme. Except we're going to stop that. Hero interrupt. When the card revealed from the counter deck, deal damage to the villain equal to 1 more than the number of boosts, so we'll be dealing 1 damage to him, and then cancel the when revealed effects. Down to 22. Actually, there was no reason to do that. We'll keep him at 23 and keep those cards because he was confused. And just pass first player. We'll bring in Spider-Man. So this is Hobby Brown, 4-2, attack of 1, 3 health. We've got a Web Warrior in play. When he leaves play, discard the top 3 cards in counter deck. Deal damage to the villain equal to the number of boost icons discarded this way. And he's going to thwart for 2. And we'll use George to hold on to the Ghost Kick for us. We'll bring in a Web Shooter. Finish off our surveillance team. Deal 4 damage to an enemy. If you paid for this card using energy resource, resolve his Venom Blast ability. So we're going to defeat the Sand Clone, which is going to trigger the Sands. Our Venom Blast, deal 2 damage to an enemy and stun that enemy. Down to 21. And stunned. Dugan. We'll thwart for 2. Thwart for 2 more. Which will ready him. And then we'll attack for 2 down to 19. And end our turn. We'll go ahead and discard that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Spider-Woman, Field Agent, Sky Destroyer, Liaison, and a Web Shot. And over here, Bait and Switch, Energy, a Web Bracelet, Plan B, and Silk. 5 threat, goes to attack, loses stun. Goes to attack here. Spider-Man's going to defend. So indirect damage is all over here. Base of 3, 5 damage. He'll take 1, 4 goes through here. When he leaves play, discard the top 3 cards in counter deck and deal damage for each boost icon. 2, 3, so we've got 7 damage from that. Down to 12. And he was a Web Warrior, so we're going to choose ourselves to draw a card into Clea. Then in counter cards, Sandman attacks you with +1 attack. So we're going to defend. He's a base 4, 5, 6. So he soaked up 3. We're taking 3 down to 1 health. And a common criminal will surge into a villain schemes for base 1, just 1. And pass first player. All right, we're going to play a Web Shot with our 2 Web Shooters. Makes thematic sense. Deal 4 damage to an enemy. If you paid for this using energy resources, those are wild, so it'll work. Do our Venom Blast. So we're going to do 4 damage down to 8. Then our Venom Blast, deal 2 damage to an enemy and stun that enemy, down to 6 and stunned. Then Dugan's going to attack for 3 to take this guy out. Then we will attack for 2, down to 4. Attack for 2, down to 2, which will ready Spider-Man. Web Warrior has left the game. That's already exhausted. And then attack for 2 more, and that's going to take him down. And we still had Spider-Woman to bring in if needed. And of course, Clea and company on this side. So Ghost Spider barely made it out. A lot of things to manage there. So let's go ahead and see what happens at the end of this playthrough. All right, so victory. In the reputation track, using the condition section, calculate your group's total reputation, then mark that number of nodes, starting with the top most unmarked node, and mark each subsequent node going down the track. The campaign log, if community service side scheme is in the victory display, record its title. I don't think we defeated that thing. I mean, sometimes I forget. What was our community service thing? That's down to Earth. It's a henchman heist. After any amount of... Yeah, we definitely didn't face that. All right, so nothing in the community service. So I'll mark that there. So we've got Spider-Man as player 1, Ghost Spider as player 2. So that's victory. It's easier to see in the back of this book than what I printed out. So victory for scenarios and community service. So looking at our conditions, victory points in victory display, that's going to be 1 because of public outcry. No minions in play, we'll get 1 for that. We took out all the minions. No side schemes in play, we're good there. No threat on the main scheme, we had 7 left. Fewer than 1 per player acceleration tokens in play, well, we had 3, didn't make that one. And no defeated identities. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 victory points to add on this. So mark that there. Basically what that means, looking on the bigger text, whenever we pass, you can see I got a line on them. When it's a clear white background, we go ahead and do that stuff. So deal 3 campaign shield tech upgrades at random to a player. That player may choose one to add to their deck for the rest of the campaign. Record that card's title in their shield tech section of the campaign log. Then return the others to the collection. Cards chosen this way do not count towards minimum or maximum deck size, and repeat this process for each player. Then we're going to choose one Osborne Tech attachment at random. Record its name in the Osborne Tech section of the campaign log. Then for setup, with the darkened background, shuffle each card recorded in the Osborne Tech section of the campaign log into the encounter deck. So let's go ahead and find all those cards. So the Osborne Tech cards are here. And then we have 8 Shield Tech items. So we'll go ahead and give the Osborne stuff a shuffle and see what we're going to get stuck with. So we are writing in an armed cannon, which has Surge attached to the villain. Attached villain attacks gain Overkill and Piercing. So hero action, discard the highest cost upgrade you control to discard this card. And then on to our tech, we'll start with Spider-Man. We'll give these a shuffle and try to make it so I'm not looking, and I'll just stop and take the top 3. 1, 2, 3. We've got some wave bracers. -1 attack, but we get +1 defense and gain retaliate 1 and steady. That'd probably been good for her. Laser goggles, your hero gets -1 thwarts, your hero gets +1 attack, and your hero's basic attacks gain overkill. I'm liking that. Some shock knuckles. After your hero makes a basic attack against an enemy, discard the top card of the encounter deck. If no boost icons were discarded this way, stun that enemy. I don't think we want to be going through that deck any faster. So we're going with laser goggles. So he's not going to be as good of a thwarter. but his attacks are going to get a little bit better. And then these will get shuffled back in, and we'll shuffle those and give 3 for Ghost Spider, and stop in 3, 2, and 1. So we've got some compact darts. After your hero attacks, remove a dart counter from here. Deal a damage to an enemy. It's an alter ego action. Spend a resource of any type. Place 3 dart counters here. Alright, that's good at getting rid of toughness, I guess. Shock Knuckles, we just saw that. Retinal Display. Your hero's basic thwart power can only remove threat from the scheme with the most threat. Your hero gets +1 thwart, and your hero's basic thwarts ignore the crisis icon. So we can't really target where we do that. So not the biggest fan of that. So I think we're going to go with the compact darts. All right, so we've got everything marked on our sheet there. And with that all done, our next one's going to be going up against Venom. So with that, as always, hope you enjoyed this playthrough. So please click on the like button below and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.